Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk und ich habe heute eine brandneue Company am Start. Die ist wirklich so neu, dass wir quasi ja gerade jetzt ganz jungfräulich zum Listing kommen. Canary Gold, es geht um Brasilien, es geht um Gold. Gold ist natürlich jetzt in aller Munde und ja, dadurch gibt es auch keinen Chart von der History, weil, wie gesagt, die Story ganz neu ist. Bei mir ist auch der Präsident dabei, der Mark, und der John ist der Country Manager von Brasilien. Und ja, die werden uns jetzt die Story jetzt einmal erzählen. Wie gesagt, ich kenne die Firma eigentlich nicht wirklich, ist klar, ist ja auch ganz brandneu. Und jetzt werden wir mal auf den Zahn fühlen. Mark, thank you for your time. I said in my German introduction, it's a brand new story. Listing is already done. So it's and that is also the point that we have no really history. We have no chart from the company. Then it makes no sense when you listed at the stock. It makes no really sense. So yeah, but we have a presentation. We know exactly what you are doing. We know Brazil and gold, but what you're doing, I have no clue. So maybe you can give us a really elevator pitch about your company.
Yeah, no, happy to. Thanks for taking the interview, Joe. Much appreciated. Canary Gold is a company I was introduced to about 9 months ago now, that is looking at a very interesting exploration thesis in Brazil. I've been in the capital markets for over 3 decades, and I can honestly say I've never seen a story with as much potential in the resource exploration world as I see here. We have John Hill, who's our country manager from Brazil, that probably is much better off to explain the story than I am, but it's exciting. We're happy to be listed. There's a lot of good things on the horizon. We're getting ready to gear up in Brazil now and start exploration with a drill program to kick off sometime in Q1 next year. We're well capitalized. We've got a phenomenal team that have a lot of in-country experience. And maybe I'll let John give a once-over on the project and what it is that we're pursuing.
Okay, this is a project that first came across some 15 years ago when I was working with another company in Brazil. What really piqued my interest was the fact that historically a lot of gold had been won from this river, Madeira River, in the Rondônia state of Brazil, and it had been, it was multi-million ounces of alluvial gold that had been taken from this river. But that's really only a part of the story. That's the story that's historically relevant. But what's more important than that is the fact that this river has been draining the Andes since over millions of years. And the Andes, as you know, is very endowed with gold deposits. The Andes over in Peru. And that river has drained the mountains towards the Caribbean and the Amazon basin and carried gold over millions of years. And that is what everyone thought they were mining in the active Madeira River. Mm-hmm. However, what really has happened is that Madeira River, the modern river, is superimposed on the historical river that was flowing from the Andes to the Amazon basin. And that particular old river or old sedimentary system has been preserved. So there's many examples of alluvial gold systems globally. And this is what we would call a paleoplacer. This is the preservation of an ancient river system. And what has been mined in recent times has just been a small sample of gold that's derived by the river where it is now. But that river has migrated over a very large area, 400 square kilometers at least, that we know about, and it has basically changed its course through the seasons, but during that entire period it has carried gold, and a lot of that gold has been abandoned in an old river channels, what we call paleo channels, and that has been preserved by subsequent sedimentary events over the top of it.
Can I interrupt you, John? First question. You say a lot of gold coming out of the river. Is this through a dredge or something? So you put the dredge on the water, dig it out, wash it out, put the garbage back to the river.
In the 1970s, there was
okay.
about 7 million ounces reported of gold extracted from about a 500-kilometer stretch of this river. It's a big river. It flows into the Amazon, so it's carrying a lot of sediment from a long way. And over time, where the river has changed its direction and the velocity, the heavy minerals, the gold has separated into layers and the trap sites in this river, and that is what has been won mainly by dredging in the active river. The only change in the theme is really the fact that we're not focusing on the current river. We're basically working on a 70,000 hectare land package away from the active river, where we believe there's a paleo channel or an old river channel from the Madeira River.
I have this on slide 7 on your presentation, where I see the old the river and your staked ground. So that's mean also when you're not going through a dredge, and I know this business a little bit in the 10, 15 years ago. I have a similar business in Africa, where also a lot of gold is coming through the river, and yeah, when you do it this in professional way, it makes really sense. It was more a gravel business, where you have gravel on the one side and gold on the other side. This was an interesting business. But when you look at your slide 7 on the presentation, so you cover beside the river, of one side of the river, where you think it's an old riverbed. But so this means also that this gold, old alluvial gold, what you're looking for is really a shadow. It's not really deep, I think.
Yeah, it's covered by a thin veneer, in geological terms, 30 meters, about 30 meters. It averages. It's less 10 meters and close to the active river, and a little bit further away, it can maybe get deeper than 30 meters. But the area that we're testing and what we've got sort of initial proof of is from geophysics, is that the riverbed, or the old riverbed that we're chasing, is less than 30 meters from surface. And that material has also got potential, because it's part of the sort of dynamic river system that's always eroding gold from upstream and redepositing it downstream during this sedimentary cycles that's been going on for many years.
So, but
that's one of the things that's most exciting here, is the fact that, or one of the exciting features of this play, is the ability to drill shallow holes and a lot of holes to quickly define what the potential of this thesis, this exploration thesis, really is. I mean,
yeah. Do you drink RC or anchor drilling, or what is the idea?
We're initially starting with a drilling technique called sonic drilling.
Yeah.
Which is really aimed at getting 100% recovery through the unconsolidated and consolidated sediments that we're targeting, and do the full evaluation of heavy mineral contents quantitatively and qualitatively, just to understand fully the controls of where the gold actually is, and potentially highlight higher grades initially to chase with our follow-up exploration.
This is a good point. Grade. What do you expect for kind of grade you expect?
Well, these types of deposits are economic from, in a sense, from about 0.5 gram per cubic meter, above that. And there's historical precedent that anything about a gram in this particular region is economic. So a gram per cubic meter.
Brings me to the next question. We noticed from the Africa business. What is the other material? We use our bed. Our river model was we have this gravel, and in this gravel we have this gold layer. So we take out the whole stuff, make one of the gravel, and sell this also to other companies, and the gold was close to for free, I must say. So is this a kind of business model too, that you're looking only for the gold layer?
Initially, we're just looking for gold. The key thing is the scalability of this project. We're talking about massive scale. Probably, if you're talking about mining, you're talking about the sort of mineral sands type mining with big dredges and mining, floating dredges and and gravimetric techniques for separation. But there will be all sorts of opportunities with the material that's being treated through the gravity processes to concentrate various fractions of the host material. But the focus initially is obviously gold.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and it creates a nice opportunity because a lot of this land has been previously farmed and stripped fallow and so forth. So this is all area that at one point was part of the Amazon. And so if we're successful in our endeavors, the plan would be from an environmental stewardship plan, as we have this moving open pit scenario or what have you, we would be able to reforest and reestablish a lot of the lands that have been previously stripped clean. So it's from a global perspective, it's exciting for us to think that maybe we can contribute to being part of the healthy change that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to also for the investors. ESG is around the globe, so it's very important that you look at your economical footprint, what you have, and also the environmental footprint, what you have. So it's very important to take care of this position. Coming more to permitting issues or permitted side, how problematically is this to permit this stuff?
Brazil's got a very clear mining law, and if you follow all the steps, there's every chance to get a mine into operation. There's no shortcuts. There's clear environmental guidelines that one has to fulfill, and community, all those types of boxes need to be ticked that any publicly listed company is expected globally to perform. So the permitting process always is a process that needs to accompany the technical work. The good thing about this particular project is we're not involving the active river whatsoever. We're not going to be mining. The law says you can't mine within 200 meters of the active river, and we're well beyond that threshold. But also the fact that we can we'll be able to very quickly determine the footprint that we will have or potentially have through our exploration programs. And obviously the permitting, it's a very large area, and we want to basically systematically explore it. But there's a close relationship that needs to be created with the local and state and federal authorities in terms of permitting.
And John's lived and worked in Brazil for decades, so he's very familiar with what needs to happen and has done it many times successfully. So
yeah, but from my point of view, it's easy thinking. So it's easy project. You drill really shallow holes. You can do it in sonic holing. It's cheap drilling. You get a lot of material and coming quick to a point where you can go for a production decision. And then so what's really your timeline looking for? Then it looks like when you have everything in 30 or 40, 50 meters, it's really easy done. So what is really the timeline? When you come to a point where you can say, okay, next year we drill, I don't know how many square kilometers you will drill or meters you will drill, then come to a point that we have a resource calculation on it. And then maybe we come to a point where we can apply for a mining license. I'm not quite sure if you're going to a PEA, then it's also not that it's a geophysic where you separate the gold from the waste rock, so it's more easy operation, not really a complicated operation compared to other gold mines. They are really going in cyanide or in flotation plants and so on. So it looks for me as a very simple operation. So what's the timeline looks like?
Okay, well, it's really, how long is a piece of string? It depends really on the initial results, but at the moment we plan to be drilling in the first part of next year. And if successful, obviously we have the opportunity to fast track and accelerate. So I would give us probably the better part of next year to get to that milestone, and then probably another year or two to get the resource put away. And but all of these processes a lot of processes can be done in parallel. And there's mechanisms in the Brazilian mining law where you can get trial mining permits that allow you to get into production very quickly, and on a limited basis, but you can get several of these separated, depending on the license that you're on. So I would think that given we have a successful drilling program in the early part of next year or up to mid next year, the end of 2026 would be some pretty reasonable guidelines at this early stage to be aiming for in terms of very clear pathway to production.
Which, as you know, for an exploration play is highly unusual, which is part of what got me excited about this project, is we're going to know very, very quickly if we're on the right track. And if we're on the right track, this isn't small. This is large scale potential, which is also, given the current market for gold, et cetera, even with Trump getting elected, I think there's, we've got better days ahead. So it's, quite exciting.
Is about workforce and so on. Is it, and also you said before, the community is very important, that you involve the community. Do you talk already with the community, what you're doing there? Do you see any problems coming up? Can you use people from the region to work for you? How this looks like?
Yeah, basically, we're right in the middle of mobilizing our preliminary teams to the field. Obviously, you have to engage with the local communities at the get-go. These are, in the case where we're 10 kilometers to the south of a 500,000 population center, which is very well infrastructured and has very good educational and logistical procurement, that type of service providers. The initial exploration, is not very human capital intensive, just one drill rig and some helpers. And the area is very sparsely populated. It's very sort of low quality farmland in that region. There's a couple of big employers in the area. There's tin mining and that further away from Rondonia, which have done fairly well for the state in terms of people. But it's really agriculture and logistics. The river itself is an artery into the Amazon, so there's a lot of trade getting into the interior of South America that comes through the port at Porto Velho, which is the name of the town next to or close to the project. So it's really right in the start, right in the get-go. We've got some relationships established. We've done some geophysics, but now the sort of advanced party is up there in the next couple of weeks, and that's going to set the scene for mobilizing the geological technical teams. And obviously we'll have community liaison and social, that type of thing as required, but in parallel with that initial technical work that we're doing. Obviously we need permits to drill. We need to get surface access agreements signed with landowners, all those types of things that are part and parcel of any responsible exploration program. So we're in good shape. The team in Brazil is very qualified, very experienced, as are the people behind this particular project.
In your region, do anything a kind of your plans in the past, or they only use the river and put it out of the river, the gold out of the river through a dredge?
Yeah, there's been no commercial or big thinking types of operations in this region. It's only been in the active river. The river's a big river. It's over 1 kilometer wide. There's been, literally 1,000 dredges, but they're not big commercial dredges. These are what we would call artisanal dredges, garimpero type activities. And they're still active in various places on the river, especially now with this spike in the gold price. There's been recently some I think a Discovery Channel has had some what's the name of the company, the show
with Parker
highlighted those dredging operations.
Parker's Trail season 7 is all in Brazil, and it starts in Porto Velho in Brazil, near where our project is, and they talk about the illegal dredging that's been taking place on the river and so forth by the Garimperios. And interestingly, where they run into trouble is that their dredging equipment isn't capable of penetrating a layer at the bottom called the locals call mokaruru, which is a hard duracrust layer that is what we feel is not only going to run in gold, but is also act as a bit of a trap for those paleo channels that we believe lie beneath and could be traps for larger quantities. So it's something that
this is the gold layer that Joe was talking about. I didn't mention it earlier, but our main target is a sheet which is basically a layer that where gold's been enriched and it's been preserved. It's very widespread, and that's the source of the primary target, as well as where the river perforates that and reworks the gold there. That's where the secondary targets come as well. But the Garimperos haven't been able to treat that because of its hardness, but by dredging methods, it'll break up very easily.
So, but to clarify, you're not looking for the source where the gold is coming from. That's come from the Indians, down
Bolivian,
to the river, Andes, and so on. You're looking only for old riverbeds where the river old running maybe a million years ago or something, and move it away, and the gold is still there. Then nobody was interested in the old days in the gold there. Then that's the river. I don't know how long it's take that the river moves 50 or 60 kilometers to the north. But it's I guess it's close to a million years or something.
Yeah, and it's a very long period of time. It's a very what do you call it? Mature river system, which is good for gold deposition. It's and sometimes that gold is even exposed at surface, and chemical processes also can concentrate gold in that surface environment, and then it's buried again and preserved. So it's very much a highly viable exploration and geological concept that that's at play here.
So the only question is really in the beginning, do you find gold or not? And that we know exactly in the next 6 months or something, I would say.
That's correct.
So
that's exactly
that is the only point. Then you prove up your geological model. That's the one thing. The second thing is for me, and I think we should come to an end. We are now on 22 minutes of the interview, so it's going a little bit long, but it's normal on my kind of interviews. So Mark, you say you're well capitalized. What does this mean? And this is the first question. The second is, what do you spend next year on the exploration?
Well, that'll be determined by what type of success we see early on, but we just completed an IPO for just north of $2.2 million Canadian. We have associated warrants with that IPO that we anticipate getting exercised in the early part of next year, which would capitalize us for an additional just in excess of $3 million. So we're in a good financial position to go in and give this a really good look. We anticipate drilling 30, 40, 50 holes at least for starters, and still having a sizable treasury to continue the exploration if it's warranted. And we think that there's a heck of a shot. So yeah, we're excited to get going. It's been a long process to get us to this point, but we're here, we're done, we're IPO'd, we're ready to go. And John's chomping at the bit to get out of the blocks here and see what we can find.
That brings me to John. You said before that you do a little bit geophysics. Do you have already the details for the geophysics?
Yes, that's in our 43-101, but basically we did some, initially we did some ground penetrating radar to try and find that hard layer, which we believe, which we're targeting. And then we confirmed that with tomography, which is another technique that's commonly used in alluvial deposits, to map the differences between clay and other formations that have different characteristics, like a hard layer, a paleo channel. And that tomography has delineated very well a very wide paleo channel, what we believe is a paleo channel, the same dimensions as the current Madeira River. And so that will be where we do our initial drill targeting.
Okay, sounds great. So, thank you for your first introduction to your company. It was really interesting, especially then I don't know it before that you're going like in the old riverbed and so on. It's very interesting for me for also my history. Yeah, it would be great if we can do another round of interview when we have maybe the first results of drilling and so on, so that we can explain a little bit more the drillings. The rest is good luck. Hopefully, the gold price going back again up to the all-time highs what we have 2 weeks ago before Trump gets elected, but still at 2,600 and more dollar, we can still live. I think this
Agreed.
project should be highly profitable with this kind of gold prices.
Yes, and local currency has weakened, so it's gold in Brazil is at record highs.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
Very
you have
good.
your expenses you have in real, so
That's great.
it's a good healthy margin.
Exactly.
Ja.
Ja, thank you for the first introduction. Ja, das war jetzt eine erste Beschreibung von Canary Gold. Die ist ja, wie gesagt, brandneu. Ich habe vorher nicht wirklich gewusst, was sie machen, aber relativ einfach. Sie kennen diese, da ist auch, hier sind ja ein paar Fotos von Dredges. Was machen die? Die Dredges nehmen den Grund des Bodens auf, saugen den raus. Dort wird dann einfach Gold separiert über Geophysik. Das heißt, Gold ist ja schwerer, das liegt unten, der Rest des Gesteins wird wieder reingeschmissen. Und ja, so funktioniert das Business bei den Goldpreisen natürlich hochprofitabel, auch wenn es extrem ineffizient ist. Wie gesagt, ich habe eine gewisse Historie in diesem Bereich. Das ist eine extrem ineffiziente Methode. Wenn du das jetzt professionell machst, ist es natürlich deutlich, also da musst du aber dann Riesendredges haben, dann passt es schon. Er hat auch noch einen Punkt gesagt, das Gold, wo die Strukturen liegen, das ist ein sehr hartes Gestein und das ist für die Dredges kaum zum Brechen. Scheinbar gibt es auch eine Goldshow im Fernsehen auf Discovery Channel, die genau dort in der Region arbeiten. Aber wie gesagt, eine Idee ist nicht mit Dredges zu arbeiten, sondern eine Idee ist simpel. Sie haben neben dem aktuellen River, how many square kilometer or square or hectares you have?
Over 62,000.
62,000 hectares or square?
Over 62,000 hectares.
Ja, also sie haben 62.000 Hektar, was sie neben dem Riverbed haben und sie gehen davon aus, dass dort eigentlich das alte Flussbett war. Der Flussbett verändert sich natürlich den Laufe der Zeit. Das Gold selber kommt aus Peru rüber quasi, aus den Anden wird es ausgeschwemmt und es liegt sich dann quasi in den Flussbett und dort nehmen diese Dredges raus. Was wahnsinnig spannend ist, es gibt Studien, die gehen davon aus, dass die 7 Millionen Unzen dort rausgeholt haben. Also wenn die stimmt, dann ist natürlich dort in diesen alten Flussbetten, die es ja damals hat es noch gar keine Menschen in der Gegend gegeben, dann ist das dort wahrscheinlich in der ähnlichen Größenordnung gelagert. Der Vorteil ist natürlich das liegt alles sehr oberflächennahe. Das ist 30 Meter, 40 Meter, da kann man mit Sonic Drilling, das ist eigentlich eine Schallbohrung, die verwendet man auch beim Automobilbau oder bei der Straßenbahnbau oder beim Autobahnbau verwendet man auch Sonic Drilling. Das ist eine Methode, wo man 100% des Kerns auch rauskriegt. Der ist natürlich dann aufgerüttelt, zerbrochen, ist wurscht und dann analysiert man das dementsprechend drauf und dadurch ist dieses eine extrem einfache Methode. Auch die Aufbereitung daran, wie man zum Gold kommt, geht ganz einfach, weil das Gold ja nicht eingelagert ist in irgendeiner chemischen Struktur oder mit anderen Elemente verwachsen ist. Nein, das ist ja eigentlich abgelegt worden und dadurch liegt es auch dort frei zur Verfügung und kann dementsprechend sehr leicht entnommen werden. Also das ist ein geophysischer Prozess und kein chemischer Prozess, wo man das bearbeiten muss, was extrem einfach die Operation macht. Es ist eine riesengroße Operation, man muss dort Tonnen bewegen, weil die Grades werden nicht mehr sein als ein halbes Gramm pro Kubikmeter oder ein Gramm pro Kubikmeter, das ist eh schon gut. aber man bewegt dort Tonnen, Tonnagen, aber an sich ist das ein relativ einfacher Modell. Er sagt auch, das ist ein Low-Quality Farmland, das heißt, das haben sie quasi schon abgearbeitet und sie werden das dann auch rekultivieren, so dass sie für die Farm dann quasi sogar ein besseres Land zur Verfügung steht. Aber jetzt geht es darum, als erstes mal das zu qualifizieren, dass das tatsächlich eben der Proof of Concept, dass dort das Gold drinnen liegt in diese Layer. Also ganz wichtig, dass man das einmal rausfindet und das Bohrungen werden im ersten Quartal stattfinden. Die Company hat gerade jetzt ein IPO gemacht, 2,2 Millionen eingeraced. Die gehen davon aus, dass es nächstes Jahr die Warrants ausgeübt werden. Dann haben sie nur mehr 3 Millionen im Konto und mit 5 Millionen kann man da unten schon relativ viel machen. Mein Einspruch war, Gold ist jetzt schwächer geworden, seitdem Trump gewählt worden ist. Aber nicht in brasilianischer Währung, Real. Dort haben sie ein neues All-Time-High, weil die Währung schwächer gegangen ist. Wahrscheinlich auch weil der Erwartung, dass Trump eben möglicherweise auch da vorgeht und dadurch ein bisschen Befürchtung ist und deswegen ist die Währung abgestürzt, was nichts anderes als das Gold dementsprechend höher notiert. Sehr spannend. Also wirklich, wie gesagt, als erstes muss bestätigt werden, dass dort das Gold drin ist, dass sie tatsächlich auf der richtigen Seite des Rivers sind. One other question come to my mind. What is when the old riverbed is not on this side, is on the other side?
Well, there's always that possibility, but I don't want to highlight that too much. But the other side of the river is protected ground. It's not available for exploration.
Okay. So, but all so far all your work, what you've done, it looks like that the old riverbed was on this side.
Yeah, well, that's one old riverbed. We believe there will be more.
Okay.
Throughout the tenement. We're just looking at the first one that we've identified. We believe there will be more than one, and then we'll expand as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, the rivers move through the valley over millions of years in all sorts of different directions. So all of that is perspective.
Okay. Also,
the scalability is the biggest attribute of this particular project.
The question is only how long is really running, and this is enough that you can do the economical production. That's the question, more or less. Okay, understandable. Ja. Also es ist im Prinzip, war bei der Frage ganz einfach, was ist, wenn nicht das alte Bett, das Riverbed nicht auf der Seite war, sondern auf der anderen Seite. Er hat gesagt, das ist alles Protected Land, da kann man nicht hin, das ist quasi nicht für Exploration offen. Andererseits muss man dazu sagen, dass der River über die Millionen Jahre natürlich dieses ganze Valley belegt hat und überall quasi Gold ist. Die Frage ist immer nur, ob das commercial ist. Also, dass sie dort nichts finden, das ist nahezu unwahrscheinlich. Die Frage ist nur mal, ist es wirtschaftlich abbaubar oder nicht? Das ist die Frage. Ist auch wichtig, weil ohne dem wissen wir es nicht genau. Yeah, thank you guys. It was very interesting for me. Good luck with all your work. Hopefully we can do another interview in 4 or 5 months where we have the first results of the drilling. It would be great. And for them, all the best. Good luck, and thank you for the interview.
For sure. Thank you for hosting us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.